Puyo, Tetris and Cave Story are some of the first games that the Nintendo Switch emulator Yuzu can boot up, and the number of games will likely increase as the emulator's developers to get better at Yuzu booting games. Current games are simple, but they'll likely get more complicated. As an emulator, there are certain things that software like Yuzu can and can't boot, hence the emulator having to start out by working with fairly graphically simple games that don't require much processing power to work with. Puyo Tetris is essentially just Tetris with a twist, while Cave Story is fairly graphically simple. Not to mention, Yuzu booting games doesn't mean that it's actually suited to playing games just yet. According to the accompanying video that the Yuzu team put out to announce the emulator's ability to boot games, it did give us a rundown of how it ran those games. For instance, Cave Story has an extremely slow frame rate even though it's able to run, and it also has a tendency to hang on cutscenes. Puyo Tetris only gets past the first two opening screens before it outright freezes up. Binding of Isaac, After Birth also runs extremely slowly and doesn't even have proper color balancing. Everything is discolored, which only makes the game even more disturbing. At the same time, however, to see Yuzu booting games outside of a Nintendo Switch still makes it a pretty important step in the software being able to boot Nintendo Switch games. Dolphin, an emulator that was focused on Wii games, was able to boot up at least one Super Mario game, and even get it running somewhat properly. However, any sort of emulator, especially when it comes to Yuzu booting up games, still has a long way to go before they can really emulate games like a Switch can.